very good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for joining us again tonight on the evening review. My name is Taddeus Shithigona. We are continuing the conversation that has been dominating the show this week, and that is regarding the events that unfolded at the National Youth Council General Assembly event that had to be called off in Swakopmund slightly over a week ago because of physical and other disagreements. And tonight we are having Taddeus Shithigona. He is a member of the Swapo Party Youth League, and he was also a delegate at that event, and he's here also to share his side of the story as he saw things. Very much welcome. It's your first time, sir, my brother, so I hope this will be the first of many. Yeah. So welcome to the platform.
No, thank you for having me, and greetings to your viewers as well.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so let's talk about just prior to the event itself. The Swapo Party Youth League issued a statement saying that Esther Simon is their chosen candidate. If you can reflect on the context of that to say, is it because member organizations of NYC are allowed to pick someone, there are statutes backing that, or it was just the Youth League showing its muscle?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Well, you see, the council is governed by the Act first and foremost, but there is also guidelines that are approved by the minister. Obviously, they have to be taken through the structures of a council. That includes the board and then the representative council. Now, the representative council, in terms of the NYC Act, is the highest decision-making body in terms of policy and consultations. When the General Assembly, which only happens after 4 years, is in session, in those very guidelines, it allows affiliate organizations to nominate candidates. And as per those guidelines, each organization is limited to nominating one person per position. So it's a right that is accorded to every affiliate organization. Okay, lovely.
You had Esther Simon, and then the gentleman, Simon Tapopi, is also a member of the Youth League. In picking the two, one between the two, what was the consideration?
Well, if you are a member of Swapo Party or even the Swapo Party Youth League, you have rights to be nominated and stand for any position. And the structure that is vested with those powers to do the nomination will nominate. What I do know for sure, as also a member of the Central Committee of SPYL, is that Comrade Esther Simon was nominated without any opposition. I do not know whether there were other nominations, but when these nominations were put to us as members of the Central Committee, the only name that was mentioned for that position of executive chairperson was that one of Comrade Esther Simon. And so in that regard, she was nominated without any opposition.
Okay. So if we assume now that that was the process as it was, really, if anybody within the Youth League or a member of the Youth League on their own volition, maybe they are being propped up by other people who say, look, Taddeus here is actually better than the candidate that has been nominated formally, and we want you to stand. Does that constitute any violation if you accept that nomination?
Well, you see, the General Assembly elections is a national election. NYC is definitely a government structure, just like many other structures like Parliament, the National Council, even the presidency. Now, if you are a Swapo Party member, there is a procedure as to how you can be deployed to those government structures. Because when you accept to be a member of the party, then you subject yourself to its rules and procedures, including the process of candidates identification. So when we then, as a party, say this is a candidate, this is similar to when we identify a presidential candidate. Obviously, there are also other actors, independent candidates, opposition parties, and so forth. But when you are a party member, you are compelled to support the candidate that has been identified by the relevant structure.
It's good that you say that. So, for example, the party itself, the mother party, if somebody, I think you're making a good point. But let me just say this: did you guys then consider, as the Youth League, did you then consider Simon's stance as defiance, as a departure from the collective?
Well, the constitution of the party, the Youth League is just a subordinate structure of a party. Our constitution is subject to the provisions of the constitution of Swapo Party. It is clear in terms of when you stand, for instance, as an independent candidate without the blessings of a party. But we understand. I mean, NYC has a history. In terms of, it's not the first time the Youth League is identifying a candidate. You know, there was Comrade Bush, there was Comrade Mandela, even the Shifeda they were identified through the same process, and I think throughout that process, there's also been other comrades who had interest, but people were sort of able to reach a consensus and say, the party candidate, if the level of Swapo Party, obviously with the support of other national affiliates, including opposition parties, civil society groups, church affiliates. They have oftentimes been supporting the SPYL candidates, and I don't think that has changed.
So when because now it is obvious now, Taddeus, that over the years, there are always two, at least two members of the Youth League who put up their hand for the NYC chairmanship. When Sharonese stood up the other time, Dalha Pulile, who I think also must have been a member of the Youth League at the time, also put up a hand. So how does, it's almost inevitable that there will always be two guys or whatever. Is it not prudent then that the Youth League considers maybe doing this differently? Because otherwise, how are you going to go about it every other time there are two guys?
Yeah, but I think it's okay. Maybe you can say it's an internal party issue, but that's what I'm saying. When you are a party member, before you actually accept to join the party, you are subjected to its constitution. You accept the provisions of its constitution and any other law, including the code of conduct, the rules and procedure. If you belong to this organization and it says, once the candidate is identified, whether you wanted them or not, you are compelled to support as a party member. Our expectation is not really to say there is something that is perhaps sophisticated in terms of comprehension from party members, because the rules are clear. And it's the same principle we use to identify candidates, whether it's regional councillors, local authority councillors, that even when you do not like that individual and the parties says through the voice of a majority, because these people are not appointed, they are subjected to the election process where other members are also entitled to participate. Now, when you lose that internal election, for instance, or you did not get the support in the internal structures of a party, I don't think it's a reason enough to say, because I didn't get support here, I can just go and also stand on my own. Because that in its own, in terms of a party constitution, is a violation of that particular, I think it's Article 6, after the amendment of 2020.
Yeah, I see. Again on the, I mean, I can't vouch for this, but there's this narrative that the other Youth League member actually had more support. Even in Swakopmund, apparently the fact that proceedings couldn't go ahead is because of the realization on the ground that, Jesus, this guy has all the support. We can't allow this event to go ahead. Therefore, people started scheming so that somehow the event doesn't go ahead. Your take on that?
Well, there is a history to this process. This process first, it started with the 2024 General Assembly. You know that that General Assembly was also called off. Obviously, there are fundamental issues before we even talk about the numbers, because people are saying the numbers are questionable. And it's a process that has been put at the table through the formal structures of not only the council, but also through the line Ministry of Youth. As I've said, this process started in 2024. I represent the Swapo Party Youth League, for instance, at the Representative Council. There was a restructuring process of all the constituencies. There are 121 constituencies, including the 14 regions, where the process of election at that level is what is disputed. It was disputed that it led to the removal of the previous board by the former Minister of Youth, Comrade Agnes Chongarero, because there were affiliates who complained about that whole structure, that whole restructuring process where you get the delegates from. And there are issues of compliance, for instance. The NYC Act says for you to qualify to be a national affiliate, when the regions used to be 13, it says you must be present. When they say present, you must have an active structure there, an organogram, you must have aims and objectives, you must have a constitution, you must have members. Now, regions are 14, it means the region, you must have those active structures in at least 8 regions. And now, if you look through the database of your affiliate organizations, you understand that most of them are merely just briefcase organizations. And those are the numbers you are talking about. So you are convening a general assembly with illegitimate numbers. So when you say somebody has numbers, but which numbers are you talking about? Because, for instance, from where we stand, the Swapo Party Youth League, we know we are present in 121 constituencies and districts in 14 regions with active structures, represented even members in every constituency. But at least the act was lenient enough to say at least just be active in a simple majority of the total regions, and then you'll be able to be. But if you can go through the database, there are 53 affiliates organizations. You will definitely find out they do not comply in terms of what the Act prescribes for you to be a national affiliate. Now, the process of the 14 regions, these are the natural structures of the National Youth Council. We call them the Regional Youth Forums. There were regions, not only SPYL, that has raised concerns to say, but the process, you'll be shocked. In 2024, for instance, that 121 constituencies were restructured in a week's time. How are you able to perform a magic and deliver a legitimate leadership of young people in over 121 constituencies in a week's time? And then you do the same for 14 regions. This is a process that people are questioning before you then say, these are the delegates from Oshana and wherever, but we are questioning the legitimacy of that process. And unfortunately, that has not been resolved. You would understand that the former minister was taken to court when she removed that board. The board then proposed to settle out of court because I think somewhere they realized that they no longer had legal standing to continue pursuing that case in court because their term ended as board members. And then they I think on the advice of their council, decided to approach to settle out of court. And eventually, even when the court agreed for that settlement out of court, it had timelines to say, okay, what led to the removal of this board is ABCD. The Minister of Youth was then compelled to bring all the parties, especially the complainants, the board, those who were probably still eligible to serve, bring them in the same room and look at the issues that led to the removal of a previous board. Unfortunately, that has never happened, and that is why we are still where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. We go for a very short break and return with Taddeus Shithigona. We are continuing the conversation here on the evening review with Taddeus Shithigona. Now, Mr. Shithigona, you said that you are a member of the council right now.
I represent the Swapo Party Youth League as the representative council. Yes.
So, how is it that representative council, I don't know exactly their responsibilities, but how is it that all this suspicion of illegitimate representation, things that formed the backbone of that disagreement at the Swakopmund gathering, that it only shows up there? Couldn't the vetting and all these things be sorted out in advance so that when people are in Swakopmund, you know exactly that those are the legitimate representatives.
No, that is not true that these issues probably only popped up in Swakopmund. For instance, we had an RC meeting, a representative council meeting on the 16th of May in Khobabi, so Mahaka region, if I'm not mistaken. In that meeting, we approved the roadmap of the sequence of events before you even convene the General Assembly, obviously including the agenda of the General Assembly, including the nomination dates and announcement of candidates.
Yeah.
And I can tell you now from where we are, none of those dates has been honored. For instance, the announcement of candidates was slated for the 30th of June. It was a Saturday. That day came, and we were waiting for organizations like Swapo Party Youth League that have nominated candidates. Nobody informed us whether the the announcement of candidate has been postponed or there is unforeseeable circumstances. And the due date of the campaign was on the 16th of June, as per the roadmap that we have approved as a representative council. That day also came to an end without any announcement of candidates, and the campaign period had expired.
Yeah.
On the 17th of June, delegates were then expected to travel to Swakopmund.
Yeah.
No candidate has been announced. Officially, we were expected to go to the General Assembly without candidates officially announced by the council. And these are some of the issues that led to the collapse of perhaps the General Assembly. I think there was on the 26th of May, there was an expectation that the election the election committee that is entrusted with the responsibilities of conducting elections and also vetting candidates and announcing, it was slated for the 26th of May. That day came, no announcement. Announcement of candidates came, no announcement. Campaign period ended, no announcement. We were compelled at the very last minute to raise those issues with the minister. Yes, we had an engagement. Tomorrow we were expected to travel. We don't have candidates. The timeline that we approved as the RC, unfortunately, when that roadmap is adopted by the RC, the board has no powers to either amend or rescind the decision of the RC. The only body that has more powers than the RC is the General Assembly that we were then supposed to. So these are some of the fundamental issues that the affiliates were facing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because look, for me, I've always just questioned the wisdom of, whoever, maybe it's not the RC's responsibility, I don't know the structures too well, but I thought the date of the General Assembly ought to have been set down only once whatever body is responsible has satisfied itself now to say, look, all the vettings are done. Now we can now go ahead. But if now things are chaotic in the manner that you describe, what happened was nearly inevitable.
Yeah, these are some of the things. I think maybe people were mostly concerned about taking off a General Assembly. Yes, it happened, but at what expense?
Yeah.
Because to some of us, NYC is indeed a sacred institution.
Yeah.
I hear there are some colleagues even in Parliament who are calling for the dissolution of the National Youth Council.
Yes.
But I think it's the only organization that young people have. In fact, people have gone to the extent of, yes, it's just waste of funds and so forth and so forth. But we still believe, if you look at the mandate of a council, this is a grooming institution of young people. It must produce your CEOs for MTCs and others. So I think it is very important that we sensitize the nation to say this institution is very, very important, and we must do things in a way that we put the council in the position that it should be able to continue fulfilling its mandate, because I think you will comprehend this organization is looking over 70% of the population. As they say, the young people makes up more than 70 or 70% of the entire population. I don't think it's just something that you can play around through technicalities and administrative powers and so forth, because the inevitable will happen as it happened.
The Swapo Party Youth League issued a statement afterwards, I think it was this week or late last week, saying, look, you do not agree with indefinite postponement of this event. If you can summarize for me what you guys' attitude is on that.
Well, the I think the statement, not to dilute from what the secretary has said, is just to say it's an unfortunate situation that we found ourselves in.
Yeah.
Obviously, there were incidences of violence that I think the statement is also condemned, but you would also comprehend that perhaps it was a culmination of frustration of young people, of the entire process leading up to the General Assembly. For instance, I remember on that night when we were in the chambers, if I may put it that way, unsolicited delegates are seeing some police officers and some, I think, I would say bodyguards coming into the venue before going in a process of election, for instance, and then 1/4 of the hall is applauding security personnel coming in an elective process. And then it created an impression to me that you call this security personnel to deal with one group of youth and protect the other. So you're already creating a tense environment in that particular situation. Obviously, as I've said, the Youth League has condemned the violence. It was an unfortunate situation. But I think that particular situation was self-created. It could have been avoided.
Who is responsible? If people were to be asked to say, look, because look, somebody ought to be pointed out to say, because these things did not just happen out of nowhere, it's because of the mismanagement of the process. Who does the Youth League put the blame on?
Well, the board is responsible for administering the council. They give the direction to the administrators and staff member in what needs to happen at each particular point in time. And when you are in the General Assembly, if you have a substantive executive chairperson, obviously, or even acting or interim, she is a presiding officer of a particular General Assembly. Yeah. So perhaps I would think that everything that happened is on the instructions of the board.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of interest from senior Swapo figures in that process. I know that there were very senior guys who were supporting, who wanted things to come out in a particular way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But the impression is really that the outcome of that election would have also had its own impact in the 2027 elective congress of the party itself. That if the people who won there are your guys, and then in your campaign, maybe for 2027, they can also back you up with their influence and the power that they have. Are you guys the stepping stone for the leadership contest?
Well, we have had conversations like that, but that is not our concern. Our concern is not about individualistic ambitions or political ambitions. Our concern is a functioning council where young people will be able to realize their hopes and aspirations. Yeah. And I think that is still our stance, and we are saying we must have a legitimate and acceptable General Assembly to everyone, not only to the satisfaction of Swapo Party Youth League, but to all. Because if you read perhaps the constitution of the Swapo Party, is to unite all Namibians first and foremost, regardless of political parties and group formations to which they belong. But so that is the first duty, to unite all Namibians. So we are not really preoccupied of who has what interest and for what purpose. Congress 2027, this and that. That is not our concern at the moment. We just want a functional council that will be able to carry its mandate as established by the Act of Parliament.
Yeah, the question that I put to a lot of guys who came around this week to discuss the same issue was also the message that comes out of this chaos and the perceptions that it puts on the young people. Like you said, 2024, the same event was called off. 2026, it's even worse because 9 people got injured there. To an observant eye, the conclusion might be that the young people are simply not ready to take this country forward.
Well, I think it's an unfortunate conclusion one can make, but I think young people must be also allowed to make their mistakes. I think you comprehend with me that everybody and every generation makes its own mistakes. Yeah. And I think oftentimes we are too quick to write off the youth. But I think
yeah,
as young people, obviously, we should be allowed to make those mistakes and be corrected in the process and learn from them. Yeah. So I think it would be a premature call to say because of that one incident, then these people are not able to lead the country or the council in the future or even now.
Yeah, no, it's a fair comment. Mm-hmm. I thought really, I mean, disagreeing is one thing. Even the 2024 thing being called off, you could accept that. But this year, the things were just extraordinary. I don't think those are the kind of mistakes that we can say, okay, let them make mistakes. Where people are getting punched in the end.
I don't think anybody got punched, but it was indeed unfortunate. Yeah. Nobody would ever want to see those type of scenes, especially political differences, culminating into violence of the nature. It is an unfortunately unfortunate situation, and I think should not be repeated going forward.
Absolutely. The last question to you, Mr. Shithigona, is you spoke. You hammered a bit on the importance of that institution. I have been saying all week that I don't know what NYC does, but maybe that is out of my own ignorance. What historical role has NYC played that legitimizes its continued existence?
Well, as I have said, for instance, I can give you a practical example of all the former leaders of the National Youth Council. They are all in Parliament. Yeah. I think the only one who's not in Parliament at a particular moment is Comrade Juliet Kavetuna. You can talk of Shifeta, it's a former cabinet minister. You can talk of Comrade Sharonis Bush. You can talk of late Mandela Kapere. May his soul continue to rest in peace. They all ended up in Parliament, and that is precisely the role of NYC. You must groom these future leaders, where you can even take a president of the republic at one particular point in time. Well, there have been great initiatives. We talk of 121 enterprises. These were, youth projects that each constituency must have a business enterprise where it should be able to generate income. Perhaps it's issues of resources, but the intention is still there. The platform is still there. It must just be strengthened. And I think we will be able to readjust it perhaps when it's a youth organization. Maybe we do not pay that much of attention, but you, for instance, when you have these young people elected as chairpersons of regional youth forums, this is a government institution, and these young people are elected. They are given a mandate by their constituents. It's just similar to a regional councillor, for instance, but those young people are not paid. For instance, they have no resources to even empower others or even just run their own offices. These are some of the issues that we think we need to improve on. Obviously, the founders of the council have tried where they can, but I think we can still do better. Obviously, there is great potential in terms of what the council can do. Employ young people, create skills for them. There are a lot of people who have been secured scholarships. I mean, if you read in the Act, the council itself is even empowered to mobilize funds, even through international organizations, and use those funds to fund youth projects, and then shape young people, whether it's business individual, whether it's political leaders, and so forth, you name it.
Absolutely. My brother, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, wonderful. Right. That is Taddeus Shithigona. He is a member of the Swapo Party Youth League Executive Committee, and also a delegate at the General Assembly of the National Youth Council that had to be called off just over a week ago. He was here to reflect on those events. Thank you for watching.